What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and today we're back with another 40 facts video. Now, previously I gave you 40 facts, or almost 40 facts, on the weapons and war gear of the ultimate commander for the Tau forces, Commander Shadowsun. Well, I guess you could argue that because Farsight is pretty good, and then you've also got Pure Tide. But anyway, I'm back to give you guys 40 facts on the history behind Shadowsun. So, I was going to cover this a little bit earlier, but as some of you guys may know, I've been obsessed with God of War. So I'm going to... I was playing God of War before filming this, and after editing this, I will probably go back to playing God of War. Usually, these past few nights, I've only been sleeping like 4 hours, because this game is consuming my soul. So if you guys haven't played it, really get out there and go play God of War. It's like a whole new epic, because in the previous God of War games, you were all about Greek mythology, and now it's like Norse. But anyway, that's a different topic for a different video. We're here for Commander Shadowsun. So without further ado, let's dive into her 40 facts. So as you all know, Oshasera, aka Commander Shadowsun, is a leader who rose to recent fames with the Tau Empire. She smashed the Orc menace on Kresh, and her cadres suffered historically low casualties. This made her become really inspirational to all the Tau peoples. All of Shadowsun's victories, for that matter, were marked by unrivaled efficiency. It was a trait that wasn't surprising, especially since she was one of the Commander's Pure Tide's most promising pupils, alongside Farsight. Now, Oshasera was a brilliant young warrior. Her success and her matchless performance at the Firecast Academies earned her recognition as one of the most able military minds in the entire Tau Empire. Now, under the tutelage of Commander Pure Tide, Commander Oshova, and Commander Oshasera, Farsight and Shadowsun had a little bit of a bitter rivalry. They were the most gifted Tau commanders that ever had arose, and they were always at each other's throats, so to speak. However, during the battle on the Dahlia Sept world, where the Imperium's Damocles Gulf Crusade was finally halted, it was indeed Commander Farsight's counterattacks that drew the most attention. They would never have been possible without the patient ploy to draw them out, and this was all thanks to Shadowsun. So again, you could see here how their tactics were a little bit different, but they did manage to take on the freaking Space Marines during this battle. So think of them as fire and ice, so to speak. They're kind of each other's weaknesses, because you melt the ice, you get water, turns down the fire, whatever. I'm talking Pokemon strengths and weaknesses here. But anyway, let's continue. Once Commander Pure Tide perished, or died, I don't know why I said perished, the Ethereals were pretty much scrambling for ways to continue his teachings, and so they went on to create the Commander Pure Tide Engram Neurochips. You could learn more about this in our 40 facts about Commander Pure Tide, but because of this, it kind of didn't work out. So the Ethereals decided that it was best to keep some of their best commanders in stasis, and Oshasera was one of them. For many years, she slept in frozen animation, unaging, until a time came where they would be most needed, a time for great expansion and a time for war. In her first speech as Supreme Commander of the entirety of the Tau forces, Oshasera made her address from the Montier Battle Dome, the same site where Farsight had famously trained. Now here she wore her prototype XV-22 stealth suit, which was a sight to behold. With the entire Firecast watching, she began to fire her weapons at the statue of Farsight, obliterating it in a burst of hot desecration. Once the dust settled, she outlined the new campaigns that they would soon embark on. She spoke of honor, the sacred code of fire, and the all-important law of the Tau Va. After this address, every fire warrior shouted in one voice, ready to follow their new leader to any end. The next big battle would take place on Mughalath Bay. However, it was at Mughalath Bay that Shadowsun encountered Corsaro Khan of the White Scar Space Marines. Here, he inflicted horrendous casualties upon her command staff, and they drove the normally calm Tau commander into a fury. In her rage and overconfidence, Shadowsun led an offensive that resulted in a stinging Tau defeat. Having barely escaped the Imperial ambush with her life, thanks only to the brave sacrifice of a personal retinue, Shadowsun swore to redouble her efforts in this campaign in the Third Sphere expansion. During this second bloody battle of a Grellan campaign, Shadowsun led an effective Tau resistance. However, she could not stop the destruction of Mughalath Bay, or even worse, the death of the Ethereal Supreme Aunva. Now this all happened because the agents of the Officio Assassinorum were released. Now Shadowsun herself only survived just barely because she was wounded earlier at the hands of a Calexis assassin, which then forced her to recover aboard a Tau starship. Free from the restraints placed on her by Aunva and the grateful Oshova for lending his aid in this battle, Shadowsun secretly leaked information to Farsight that an ethereal council had ordered her to capture him. Now because of this, Farsight and his forces were able to escape pretty much unscathed, without having to deal with the forces of the Tau Empire. Now her lore pretty much stops here. However, with the introduction of the 8th edition Codex, there is some new snippets of lore to Shadowsun and her history. So basically what ended up happening in this 8th edition segment was that Shadowsun was once again reawakened from her stasis chambers to lead the 5th Sphere expansion. Now what this expansion was a new, basically a search and rescue party to find out what happened to the remains of the 4th Sphere expansion. If you guys want more lore on this, I greatly recommend you guys check out my, I think it's called Thoughts or Reactions to the Tau 8th Edition Codex. I'll link it at the end of the video so you guys can get a little bit more info. But I mean, not much happened. Shadowsun led the Tau forces to this new expanse in space. They found the 4th Sphere expansion and they basically started reclaiming worlds. And with that being said, guys, that's pretty much all the lore I've got on Shadowsun. Now that is a pretty brief overview as to what she did. Again, if you guys want to go a little bit more in depth, greatly recommend you guys check out our 40 facts on Commander Puretide, 40 facts on the battle for Mughalath Bay Part 1 and 2, as well as the reaction on the 8th edition Tau Codex. This goes more into her character, more into who Shadowsun is as a Tau, how she's kind of struggling to lead the Tau to basically spread the greater good, but at the same time I feel like she's getting she's too much under the influence of the Ethereals. But as you can see, with the death of Aunva, she kind of let Farsight go, even though they've had that rivalry back in the day. Seeing as how Farsight is labeled a renegade or a traitor, he still helps out the Tau wherever he can, so he's not that bad of a guy. But again, that's what the Ethereals decree, and the Ethereals have some kind of power or some type of control against the Tau, but that's more speculation and rumor than anything. So again, guys, let me know what you think about Shadowsun. I will be getting her as a model for my Tau army. I don't have her yet, but I do got a Ghost Keel. I do have some stealth suits, so I figured why not put the cherry on top by adding Commander Shadowsun. It's a really cool model. I really like the armor she wears, so we'll see what happens with that later on. And like I said, guys, that's all the lore I have for Commander Shadowsun. Check out Part 1 if you want to look into her weaponry and her war gear a little bit more in depth. And yeah, let me know what other characters you want us to cover in our 40 Facts series. I do still have to put out the Grimdark battle between the Gretchen and the Nurglings. That's going to be fun. And then I'm currently writing the battle between the Primarchs against the Emperor. That's going to be a crazy one. But I'm nowhere near done. So again, thanks guys for tuning in each and every day. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, comment down below what else you want us to cover, and stay subscribed for more 40K videos. This is the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you tomorrow.